The most important thing when starting an e-commerce business is to know your customers. And it sounds simple enough, it's something you hear a lot. But I think the internet and e-commerce is done over the internet creates a sort of impersonality or anonymity and a sort of void where your customers are. And this is a danger of you sort of not knowing your customers because you're not physically in a store with people walking in and greeting you. And so you have to work harder to get to know your customers. So when starting e-commerce, I would say get to know your customers, and not on a theoretical level, but really like be calling people up, be talking to people, be pitching your ideas over and over. Really work on sort of understanding your customers' pain points and creating personas based on real people. And if you start there, you're already way ahead of the game. The customer should really be your North Star in everything that you do.
Well, it's all about the market gap. There's Simon Sinek, who I really like, and he always says, find your why. So why do you start this e-commerce business? Where is the market gap? Where is the gap that no one else serves? And if you build this company, also think about what do you want to do? When you want to build a company that's sustainable, do you want to sell the company? So depending on that, either kind of understand how to strategically set up the business and try to be bought. So if you kind of serve a certain market niche that could be interesting to Amazon, maybe they buy you, and then you're well off. And if not, how can you protect yourself in terms of really growing and creating a brand of your own in order to sustain over a long while?
The most important thing is that you gather a great team. Especially if you're addressing a new idea, the idea will probably or high likely change over time. And so it's important that the team is ready to adapt quickly, learn quickly, measure quickly, and finally come to a product which is interesting for the market. Still, to answer this question from an e-commerce point of view, I think for an e-commerce business, it's super important to have a clear positioning. We have worked with a customer in Switzerland, Syrup, which on one side was a great company, but they lacked a clear positioning in the market. And I think if the consumer doesn't really understand what you are representing for or why I should buy on your site, I think this makes it very difficult to have a good go-to-market.
So when starting a new business, I think the key question is how are you going to make money? Because in e-commerce there are many companies that have revenues and they have growth, but in the end, no clear path towards profitability. I think there are two ways to do that. Either you have to have a truly unique product for which you can charge premium, or you have to have a specific unique value proposition that you're going to deliver to your clients, like super good client service, like super good return policy, and so on.
When you're starting an e-commerce business, I think the most important thing is to understand what your customers are going to be wanting to purchase, and then making it easy for them to essentially purchase those items. And this seems like something very obvious, but that really requires you to provide that experience, be it through search, through browse, however, where they can easily go and say, I want to buy this, or I want to buy this type of thing, and then purchase it, which might also involve looking at their experiences, looking at how they're interacting with your website or app, and then making changes, making adjustments based off that.
I think plan ahead. Plan ahead and actually set up your processes first. Set up your processes, see to it that the markets where you want to be present, that you have got translations for that, or that you have another way of handling it so you don't necessarily need translations, because that is a big cost and also will take you longer to get your products to the market. And think automation, I think. Because without automation, it's quite easy to grow big. But if you don't have If you don't have good strategies from the beginning, the faster you grow and the bigger you grow, the more problems you're going to have in the end.
To be able to reach your clients in an effective way. So basically, we think about what are their needs. We need to see what their interests are. Based on that, be able to communicate that to them in order to make sure they're happy. That's the most important thing, for the customer to be happy.
Basically, I think to be more local, right? So you cannot be outside of your local environment. What I mean by that is local people who understand people buying behaviors of the country. Definitely somebody who understands legal parts of the environment that you're working in. So basically focusing on the local environment, right?
I like the words we have heard from Mr. Schüssler from Trumpf, and he said that setting up an e-commerce project is not a project with its own meaning, with a final end date. It is an ongoing job you have to do. So it is actually a change in mindset. And that taking into account, I think that is one of the most important things you have to keep in mind when you start e-commerce business.